Welcome back to the Los Alamitos Unified School District Board meeting, open session. We were in closed session. We discussed conference with district labor negotiators and student discipline. No action was taken. We are back in open session. I do want to make sure that we have put a new process in place and that we accept cards from 9 o'clock in the morning until the beginning of open session, the 6:30 open session for public comment. I want to make sure that nobody wants to turn in a card. We will not take any cards any later in the meeting at this point in time. We've done 2 meetings worth of explaining that change in the process. Seeing nobody, we will move on. So we will move on, and I am moving into open session. Open session, Board of Education will begin. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And David, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Yes, you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. And now we will have an executive summary of our workshops, and we'll go to Mrs. Reed, and then we'll go to Dr. Frazier, and then do we need to go to Dr. Pulver?
Yes.
Okay. Did I get them all?
You did.
Thank you.
I'm going to do the PTA one.
Thank you so much, President Hill. Earlier this evening, we were really honored to have Mrs. Kaminsky and Mr. Mendrin join us and do Oak's school board report, where they really did an amazing job highlighting all of Oak's programs as well as highlighting their staff. And it really was wonderful to see Mrs. Kaminsky. She's had so many years of wonderful service with us. This would be her last school board report as a principal. So I think it was, even more enjoyable than typical. She was also able to honor a very special parent, Oak's Hero of the Heart this year, Mrs. Stacy Levine, and the work that she's done really K-8 and serving and supporting school sites within our district.
Thank you, Mrs. Reed. And Dr. Frazier.
Thank you, Madam President. We had the pleasure of recognizing 2 of our employees of the year this year, Miss Regina Brown, who is a clerical assistant at Oak. She's such a breath of fresh air when you walk in the Oak office. She's always got a smile on her face, so we're really proud of her, and congratulations to her. And then also we were able to recognize our teacher of the year from Hopkinton, Miss Angie Haas. And I was telling Angie, I can't imagine as a parent how calming it is to know that your child is in her class. And then as a child, I was trying to picture myself walking through the threshold of that door every day and knowing that she's my teacher. I think that just must be so exciting to go to class every day. So congratulations to both of our employees of the year.
Thank you. And Dr. Pulver.
Thank you, Madam President. Excuse me. I thought I'd also just acknowledge Miss Marlis Davidson is zooming in. She's a little under the weather. She had fully planned to be here in person, so we are going to zoom her in. And during the board workshop as well, we had a lovely presentation from the PTA Council President, Ms. Jennifer Steese and Janet Murphy, who shared how the PTA Council was coming today to recognize Mr. Scott Fayette, Ms. Meg Catulli, Ms. Diana Hill, Mr. Chris Forhan, and Mrs. Marlis Davidson, all as individual honorary service awards for the exceptional work that you have provided on behalf of the students and the staff and the community during these very difficult times, particularly the past few years. So it was just really nice to have our parent organization really recognize. They're a cornerstone, they're a bedrock for us within this community, and for them to recognize the important work that this Board of Education has done and really focused on students was just, I know, deeply touching for all of you, I am sure. And I appreciate that Janet and Jennifer came tonight to recognize all of you. So that was during our workshop.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pulver. So we will move on, and we're going to move on to the President's report. And Mrs. Dornblaster will just move through my slides, I think. If it's working. It works. We never know. It's always exciting. So I'm very thrilled this evening to talk a little bit about just a lovely evening that I had the opportunity to have last night, and that was at the Orange County Teacher of the Year dinner. And every year, the Schools First Credit Union, and is it just Schools First Credit Union?
And then there's a donor, I can't remember his name, but they've donated over $2 million over the past decades to recognize Orange County Teachers of the Year.
Yes, and it was an Orange County Register. They put a huge spread, and it was a really, really lovely. But it's always a little funny because it's always a little behind where we just recognized our Teacher of the Year this evening. She will be recognized next spring. And so this was honoring the 2020-2021 awardees, and it was just, they didn't get their dinner in the last 2 years of COVID. So they did a really great job of honoring them. And we had Corey Alfaro, there it is, Corey Alfaro and Janelle Fox. And Janelle Fox was a semifinalist. Both were semifinalists for the state award, and it was just a very lovely dinner, and we got a chance to just connect and to really thank them for the incredible work that they've done here in our district. And it's also very inspiring because you see they honored 6 of the Teachers of the Year for 2021 and 2022. And I'm just hearing their stories and the work that's done by teachers all over the county, and really special things that they do to help students all over the place. And we are very honored to be sitting with 2 of them last night. So it was a very, very great evening and very joyful. So that was wonderful. Also, this week was the National Volunteer Appreciation Week, and if we don't have volunteers in LaSalle, I don't know who does. And so we have a number of different volunteers that come in and help through many different ways, whether it is directly in a classroom, whether it is our friends of groups, our PTA, our booster clubs at the high school and at the middle schools, volunteer coaches, our community members. We also have School Site Council and our CBOC, which is our Community Bond Oversight Committee. And so there are a lot of different ways that people can get involved and give back to this district, and they do so willingly and with such big hearts that we just wanted to make sure that we just said thank you very much, and we appreciate all that you do, all of the hours. I can't even imagine how many hours there are. And we also got a chance to recognize a hero of the heart. We got a chance to recognize a hero of the heart this evening from Oak. And so for those of you who may not know, that is the special award that the district gives out to a volunteer every year. And then board meeting highlights. And so, as you know, I always like to say, did you know? And so one of the things that I know we've heard over the last couple of years as a board is that people will find something out either by social media or within the community, within the paper, something that is going on in the school district. And they'll say, I didn't know that was happening. How did that happen? And so we have really been working really hard to make sure that we can provide more and more options for people to stay connected with what is happening in the district. And so we have an amazing public information officer now who can really help us spread that word because it is a full-time job, literally, to let people know what is happening within the district. And so she comes to all of our board meetings, and she puts out a wonderful board highlight, and that can be seen on our website. It's very easy to be able to click on. She also connects it to all the YouTube videos, because that's another big change that we have made within our board meetings, is that, because that's one of the positive things that came out of COVID, is that now we record and take our meetings out via YouTube in real time. And we also take our workshops out in real time. And we did not do that before. It used to be they would record it, and then a couple of days later, they'd put it up on LATV. So we are working really hard to make sure that people that want to stay informed can very easily stay informed. And we also have wonderful, because we have a couple of them in the the audience, but we have a couple of really great local newspapers that also try to highlight things and really try to give a balanced perspective of what's going on in the school district as well. So please make sure that you check out the highlights, and it'll give you some photos, and it'll give you a synopsis of what was covered via the agenda, so that you can connect those dots. You may have also seen that we are doing, not we, Nicole is doing every week, a wonderful video that goes out via, that is on YouTube as well, and that is going out via social media and other ways, and email, that shows what's been happening in the district and the joyful things that have been happening throughout the week. So that is my Do You Know, and I appreciate your time and attention. And I will now turn it over to the magnificent Will, I'm really going to be interested in to see what he found to be able to report on. Yeah. On spring break.
All right, there we go. All right, perfect. Good evening, President Hill, esteemed board members, Dr. Pulver, executive cabinet, and community members watching in person or online. I hope everyone had an amazing spring break. I typically try to do these reports at school, but seeing we were not at school for 9 days, I had to improvise. Coincidentally, I was stuck in line for 2 hours on Star Wars Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland by myself, and luckily had a computer on me, so this report was typed while in line for 2 hours while I was getting many awkward glances from guests and strangers. But besides that, let's get into my penultimate board report. As second semester slowly comes to an end, this also means it's time for AP testing. College Board will start to administer exams starting May 1st and will run through May 13th. These long tests can be both emotionally and academically draining, so if you see any student around campus, give them a high five or some words of encouragement. It really goes a long way. But before AP tests start, senior students that are planning to go to college are required to commit by May 1st. And with college decisions done by then, it also means it's time for one of LoSal's greatest traditions, the College Wall. There's a link in LoSal Connected 2022's Instagram bio where students can submit their college decisions. The wall does take a long time to prepare, so it's best if students can submit ASAP, but no rush. Before students left for spring break, the LoSal administration and ASB collaborated to have an extended spring send-off lunch. This 47-minute-long lunch included games like cornhole and spikeball, as well as free candy handed out to every single student. It was a great way to get students excited for their week off of school. The next event on the docket for Los Alamitos High School is prom. The dance will take place at the Wallace Annenberg Center on May 14th and will go from 7:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. This year's theme is the Met Gala, so be prepared to bring all that stylish New York and high-class style to the dance floor. This will also be the last formal dance for seniors and the last formal dance of the 2022 school year, so make sure to buy your ticket before prices go up. Spring break did not stop LoSal athletes, as many of our sports programs were able to hold their senior nights. Boys volleyball had their senior night against Marina High School with a 3-0 set win. A special highlight of the night was that all of the current seniors got to play, giving all the players a chance to showcase their skills for the family members that traveled far and wide to get there. And the same thing happened for girls softball, who also had their senior night last week. The girls faced their rivals, Edison High School, and every single senior that was in attendance got to play. And a major highlight was when Diamond Telesia hit a grand slam, securing a score of 9-0 for their momentous night. And I'm a little late to this one, but track was able to compete in the Arcadia Invitational Tournament 2 weeks ago. The event allowed the best of the best in Southern California to compete against each other. Just being invited alone is an accomplishment in itself. Some highlights were boys varsity got third place in the 4x100 event, and freshman Devin Bragg got second in the seated 100-meter dash. And we're entering the final weeks for spring sports play, but that's not stopping all the LoSal athletes from bringing their competition to the court. And while you may have missed some of the sports over spring break, one thing you cannot miss is the upcoming dance show, The Ghost Light. The show will run from May 11th to May 13th, taking place in the PAC at various times. This will be the last dance show of the year and one you do not want to miss. Seniors will also be highlighted at this performance, as it will be their last time performing for the LoSal dance team. With spring break last week, it proved very difficult to interview a teacher for teacher time. So with little improvisational skills and many back and forth emails, I present to you the best history teacher I've ever personally had, and a dear friend of mine, Mr. Thompson. For what is now his 12th year teaching at McAuliffe, Mr. Thompson has taught 8th grade United States history. Teaching the subject gives him the opportunity to connect with students in a critical context. He feels he is able to share and analyze what has gone on in both the past and the present, and educate students in a way that can positively influence their future. While he loves the art of teaching, he especially enjoys the idea process behind coming up with the lessons in a fun way that can get students engaged. But Mr. Thompson's life is not just teaching. He also tries to make time for his family and take care of his daughter, Mackenzie. He loves to take long walks in his neighborhood, watch UCLA football games, and study up on what is in the current news. When he is in the classroom, he especially loves to teach about the Civil War, not only because Abraham Lincoln is his personal hero, but because it leaves the floor open for classroom discussion. After 12 years of teaching, Mr. Thompson looks back at his time at McAuliffe and is most thankful for the relationships he has been able to build with students, parents, coworkers, administrators, and the community. Even after my time at McAuliffe, I still fondly remember the days in Mr. Thompson's class. He taught me to be the best version of myself, learn from the mistakes of others, and it was a teacher that I look back to time and time again to remind me of what a model person is. He has made efforts to touch base with me over the years, going to show how much Mr. Thompson truly cares about the success of not only his students, but the community that LoSal is as a whole. And for my penultimate student spotlight, I get to show off someone who is both a great friend of mine and my successor for next year, the amazing Alexa Dharmapalan. Yes, folks, you heard that right. Will is being replaced, but I could not think of anyone else who would be the best possible board rep for next year. Alexa is a 4-year ASB member, being chosen as one of the freshman ASB members from Oak Middle School. She served as a class president, activities lead, assemblies commissioner, and will be next year's student representative to the Board of Education. But it doesn't stop at ASB for Alexa, as she is a performer in the nationally ranked Soundtracks Choir and is a tech lead for the whole program. She has been in choir since she was 10 years old and absolutely loves it. Alexa loves music, especially vinyls, and has a whole collection in her room. In her free time, she loves attending concerts, her favorite being Harry Styles. On top of that, she still finds time to read and practice speaking French. All of these aspects lead her into what she's most excited for next year, being the student board rep. When Alexa was 9 years old, she spoke at her very first board meeting, and ever since, it's been a dream of hers to speak at the podium since. As I pass the torch to Alexa, I'm reminded of the so many great memories I have with her. When I met her on the first day of hybrid learning, the countless hours of dancing during ASB setups, singing songs and bonding over musicals, or just any friend advice I need, Alexa has always been there for me. She's been a model leader, model friend, and will be a model board rep. I can think of no one else who will represent the entirety of LoSal as well as she will. I will miss you in college next year, and I know you will make me and this board proud. Love you tons, and hats off to you. And speaking of college, I know it took a long time, but I finally made my college decision. I will be attending San Diego State University next year. Thank you. I'll be majoring in mechanical engineering and possibly minor in business. I need to thank not only my amazing parents who've helped me with the emotional journey of high school, but also my family across the United States who were so instrumental in this process. I also want to thank the Board of Education for being so involved in my decision process, always asking me where I was, leaning at every meeting, and giving me advice. Go Aztecs, and here's to the next 4. And for now, that's all for this report, folks. Thanks for listening, and to those at home, thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Thank you, Will, and congratulations. Great choice. It'll be extraordinary for you. And I will say that you brought up a little memory for me. So, you know my nephew, Holden Edmondson. And when he was at LaSalle, they won the 4x100. They won the 4x100 at the Arcadia track meet. So I brought up a little memory for me, and I appreciate that a great deal. So anybody else? Yes.
I think I already said this to Will. I'm a former Aztec mom, and it's a great school to go to, great area in San Diego. And I remember my daughter, who was the Aztec, who said, yes, and they have so many great Mexican food restaurants. So, you know, if you don't like the dorm food, walk up half a block and you'll find a good Mexican food restaurant. Yeah.
Meg, I didn't know we had that in common because I'm an Aztec father of a son that went there too. So, yeah. So congratulations.
Dr. Pulver, I believe I'm going to hand it over to you.
Well, thank you very much. Will, this was your 14th. I'm wondering, is there a special word for fear of 14th?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can probably find something online by next report.
Okay, all right. I was just curious. So, well, congratulations on that's got to be a relief. And engineering, let me tell you, when I was in college, one of my roommates was an engineering program. That program is so elite, and you have very little room for electives and just a difficult load, which I know that you can do it. And I'm so amazed by anybody who goes into engineering because it is a dedication. So congratulations. That's pretty darn exciting. And I'm sure those Halloween haunted houses are only going to get more intricate the more you get involved with engineering. So watch out, Mom and Dad. So tonight I'm pleased to give a report. I just wanted to follow up the board highlights. That is the publication that we publish after our board meeting. We also send it out to all of our staff and to our families, and it's a great way for staff as well to really feel connected to the business side of the school district, which is really the board meeting. And so I know a lot of our staff have also really been thankful to see what's going on at our board meetings, and they can get a quick snippet rather than watching maybe a 2-hour or so YouTube video.
Thank you for adding that, Dr. Pulver.
You're welcome. And I can't wait to see the college wall. That's always exciting. And one of my favorite things at baccalaureate and the end of the year is when our seniors put up their flags of where they're going to college. I know the PTA does that. I think it's PTA who does that as a fundraiser. And it's just exceptional. I hope that's a keeper for them as well. So I still have mine from USC in my garage that my mom made. So I had to just put USC out there for you. They do. They absolutely do. And so during spring break, we thought it was a good opportunity while staff and students are off the campus to go ahead and provide another tour to our board, to our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee members, and we also invite any member of cabinet to take a look at the multi-story STEM building. It is amazing that this is going to be opened up by the start of the school year. Coming up. So it'll be open up in August. So I thought I'd just share some pictures of that process. So here's the exterior on the front. This is where the parking lot will be. The building itself will be a big barrier in terms of not having to have a fence go all along the campus. So that'll be a security aspect, but pretty exciting to see Los Alamitos High School letterings were just recently added right before spring break up on the 3-story building. And then this is a picture of the main office lobby that parents will be able to come into from 2 different entrances. And where you see that cut out in the wall, that'll be a display case and a TV of sorts that we can kind of keep parents kind of informed of different things going on into the campus. And then really the star of this is 30 classrooms. It's over 88,000 square feet. So if you think about that building in some cases is bigger than some elementary schools in other places across the county. And so it's mostly our STEM building. So it is math and science classrooms. And you can see how big our chemistry classrooms will be. You see the poles coming up in the middle of the classroom. That's for the gas lines and things of that sort, will be the islands. But you can really get a sense for what the classrooms are starting to look like in a few other pictures where you can see some of the casework coming in. This is another science room. And there will be more casework right underneath the window. The casework, they're going to have more storage than they have had in the past. And just another venue of that where you start to get a picture of the different storage. And then in addition, it'll also have our math classrooms. We're trying to remove a bunch of the math portables on the campus as well. And so this is a traditional classroom, non-science, so it'll be a math. And again, you can get a concept of some of the casework that's getting ready to go on in there. And just some views. We certainly saw that there will probably be some coveted classrooms. I'm glad I have nothing to do with where teachers will be going in these classrooms, because, you know, on the third floor in the corner unit, I think people were calling it the penthouse. But I think those of us that were able to be on the walkthrough were just in awe of what the opportunities this is going to mean for our students and for our staff. To be able to have these quality facilities really within math and science. And so just a picture of the hallway, and the hallways will look similar on the second and the third floor, where you see the blue is where you're coming into a classroom. So there's kind of some illumination of where you're coming into a classroom. And then the exterior, this is another picture of the exterior. This is where the engineering room, the robotics, et cetera, is downstairs. That will have a roll-up area as well for them to be able to do a variety of different equipment, et cetera, and try out some of the things that they're building and creating. And then just the hallway down one of the corridors of the stairs, you see a step down, but really that will all be flush concrete once it's all said and done. And you can kind of see two areas of the stairwells. This one side, the most in the focal front, there will be glass on covering that. So those stairs in the very front there, that stairwell will be covered. And then the other one in the far left picture that you see from a distance, that's obviously an outside stairwell. There's elevators as well, obviously, for ADA and other aspects for the 3 floors. And then finally, just another picture or vantage point for you can kind of see, this is where the building comes out as an L across our other science rooms over there. And you really get to see kind of how much space is between the two buildings, because it might seem like it's a little bit tight, but there's plenty of space there that we'll be able to, obviously all of that's also going to have to be landscaped. We saw in the front of the area, if we were able to tour, where they're going to have big trees and benches around, or brickwork where people can kind of sit as well at lunchtime. We didn't get a picture of the grand staircase, but the grand staircase reminds me a little bit of like a mini Times Square where for our students. So we're really excited. And what I love about using the footprint so well is underneath that grand staircase is the book storage for the media center, where all the textbook storage is, et cetera. And we got to get inside there, and it's a much bigger storage area than you would think. So we're very excited about the STEM building, and as I shared, it will be opening up this school year, the next school year, the 22-23 school year. And then I thought I'd provide a brief update to our solar projects as we are starting to get underway. This has probably been 2 years or so in the making. We've had a lot of conversations at the board meetings regarding our solar projects. We are making a slight modification to the solar arrays at Los Alamitos High School. And so initially it was supposed to be 3 rows, the one row right next to the track and field, the row of parking there. But this is a 30-year design. And so if we ever have the ability to expand or do anything with the track and field, or to even add a row of bleachers or 2 more, we would need that space. And so we would not want to commit putting a solar structure right there. So we are moving it to the row behind. So where solar array C is the move. To be trying to just make sure we're communicating to the community, we have sent this flyer to all of the homes that are on the perimeter of the parking lot of the high school. So A and B is no change. That's where it always was in solar array C. So we have done that last week, and I think we're going to meet with some of the members of the community within the next week or two, who after we laid the flyer down. They have a couple questions. We're happy to address their questions for them.
So Dr. Pulver, I'm sorry, the change once again?
Solar Array C.
So, okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep. So it was initially a longer, narrower row across just above A between the field. And should we ever have any future opportunities, we don't want to lose that opportunity by putting this in for 30 years. So it gives us more flexibility. And then hot off the press, just announced this afternoon, the state of California, the blue ribbon, the National California Distinguished School Awards, because it's often tied to state assessments, and we did not have state assessments during the pandemic. They created what they call the California Pivotal Practice Award program that they invited schools and the district. So you could also have a district apply separately. And so all of our schools applied. We applied as well as the district. So we submitted 10 applications and put a lot of work by our principals. And in that, what the state I'll cut to the chase. We all 9 of our schools received the Pivotal Practice Award, as well as the district, but I'll share a little bit more about what that is. So what it really was designed to acknowledge is to celebrate schools and districts that implemented innovative practices in the face of this pandemic for the 2021 school year, when California required all of us to do distance learning and to COVID during the COVID pandemic. And it was to honor the schools who designed, implemented unique opportunities and strategies to support students. 727 schools, 121 school districts. There's about 1,000 school districts across the state. So that's under 20% who will receive this award. So probably closer to just above 10. There were 4 categories that we were asked to kind of speak to. How did we engage? Either you could apply within student engagement, the distribution of technology, nutrition services, and the social emotional well-being of students. I think that the pivotal practice programs, we could have talked about in all of those. I don't know of another district, as soon as we closed down on March 13th, that had a virtual program up and running within 2 days, our students, and that's really hats off to our ed services and our TOSAs and our ed tech coordinator, who really, we saw this coming, and so we started working on it ahead of time. And then really just the implication of running 2 different programs, LoSal at home, opening up our schools as quickly as possible with the waiver, et cetera. The seamless meals, where we were providing meal services out to all of our families throughout the pandemic over the summer. That our extended daycare never closed down. We always made our daycare centers available to the public, and the ongoing investment in the social emotional well-being of our students. And so, as I shared already, congratulations, Mogaw, Los Alamitos Elementary, Rossmoor Elementary, Lee Elementary, Weaver Elementary, Hopkinson Elementary, McAuliffe Middle School, Oak Middle School, Los Alamitos High School, and Los Alamitos Unified School District. All of them have received the award of the Pivotal Practice. I know, right? I tried to do that with that congratulations in some form or fashion. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Pulver. And what I will say that honor really goes to staff and to all the hard work and the not stopping for a second. And if you remember, during that time, there was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear, and rightfully so. And for them to continue to focus on our students and their well-being, I think is just a tremendous testament. And I just really appreciate all that you have all done during this and the constant pivot. And so thank you, and well-deserved to all of you. So we will move on. We are now going to move on to board communication. And Mrs. Davidson, should we start with you?
Sure, that's great. I've written down notes because I'm a little foggy brain, not feeling that great. But first of all, Will, we're going to miss your joy and your passion and all of your energy. You better come back and visit. San Diego isn't that far away. And I want to thank you for picking Mr. Thompson. I taught with him for so many years. He is a fabulous teacher and a wonderful human being. So that was a great choice. Thanks, Will. Hopefully everybody had a safe and joyous spring break.
The last few months have been full of so many fantastic opportunities to celebrate our children. From elementary to middle to high school, every school presented an incredible opportunity at open house to share all their accomplishments that represent the hard work, passion, and dedication of our teachers, staff, administrators, and most of all, our children. The last one I got to go to was at Los Alamitos Elementary, and literally it was so much fun because it's been 2 years since there's been a fully functioning open house, and to be able to walk through the classrooms was wonderful, but it wasn't easy. They were completely packed with families, having so much fun looking at their kids' work, walking around the rooms, talking to animals in aquariums. It was just the best experience, and you could just see the joy on their faces. So we thank all the administrators and staff, and especially teachers, for the hard work that goes into putting on such fabulous open house events. I got to go to the Frosh soft baseball game. Baseball is my, by far and away, favorite sport in the universe. And our freshmen, sophomores beat Edison handily on a beautiful afternoon on our home field. And I imagine the varsity coach is looking forward to a bright future with the kids that I saw. Then I visited the swim meet against Corona del Mar. And I didn't even understand what I was seeing. There were so many kids out there in the stands, along the sides. And when I left, they were on their 54th event. They just happened with perfect order, maybe 1 or 2 minutes between each event. The kids are so excited and communicative with each other. And it's just a fabulous experience. I'd never seen one in person before. So I hand it to the coaches and all the people coordinating those events. The walkthrough was fabulous. I really am astounded at how 88,000 square feet, and there wasn't 1 inch that wasn't properly addressed and thought through. There are alcoves built into the walls, so students during breaks can sit between their classes outside the classroom doors and talk with each other, study, read, just take a moment to take a deep breath. I know we're all going to want to be at the high school on the first day of school, just standing at the bottom of that beautiful staircase, watching the kids go in and out for the first time, because it's going to be amazing. They'll be so thrilled. Finally, I want to reach out to all of our parents and encourage you to take the time this week, and it is just this week, to go to the district website, scroll down to the bottom of the home page, and just below news, and click on Parenting in a Digital World. I wasn't able to go to parent night, so fortunately, thank you to Dr. Jerry Friedman, who is the most wonderful director of student safety. He got the presentation put on the website for us, but it's only on there by permission of the company, the presenters, and it was supposed to go off yesterday, and he got it extended until April 30th. It's an invaluable experience for parents. If you miss the actual event. So I really want to thank Dr. Friedman for that. It's a powerful presentation with important information for all of us. My grandson is 6 years old, but I've made sure that my son and daughter-in-law have access to this, because it addresses so many issues about cyber safety. I've spent a lot of time researching this because I think it's an issue that is involving mental health to the nth degree. But this presentation gave me so much more than I ever knew before. Resources, facts, statistics, ways to talk to your kids. 90% of the teenagers surveyed said that they never had a discussion about cyber safety with their parents. So it's something that needs to be done. And sometimes we don't have enough information or a pathway to that conversation. So this presentation will give you very practical ideas to support every parent and grandparent to help our children through this whole new world of communication. It will only be available until April 30th. And once again, you just have to go to our Los Alamitos School District website, scroll down the homepage to the bottom, and you'll see it there. Click it on, they give you the password, and you will be so thankful you did it. If your child isn't needing help, maybe you're going to get the information to save somebody else's. So thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Davidson. Mr. Fayette?
Thank you, Madam President. So we, even though we weren't in school for 9 days, I still seem to have a lot of busy things going. The Friday before the break, I was at the high school watching all the activities, handing out spheres of candy. I was not allowed to call them anything but spheres, but that was a lot of fun to see the kids, the joy, and watching them act as children, as kids, and having fun, and how polite they were. Thank you, waiting in line, taking turns. It was really, I know I keep saying this, but I'm just impressed with how well behaved our kids are. Open houses were great. I got to go to Weaver and Hopkinson on the first round, and then McGaw and LAE on the second round. It's just great to be able to go back on campus and see all the joy that's there of all the parents coming and checking out their teachers this year, and the teachers or the parents that are a little more sophisticated checking out who are the teachers for next year. It was great to see all that joy. The other thing is, I was able to go to Lee's awards. There, they hand out certificate. It was the TK and kindergarten award Monday morning, first thing. I've said it before, the joy of watching these little guys and gals run around and just, the world is their oyster. They just love each other. They had to have, they had to stop it because every time a little guy got up to get his reward, his certificate, well, everybody in the room wanted to give him a hug. So it was quite comical, but just so much joy, and you could see how proud and the children were to receive it. The parents were in the thing. Just another community gathering point where community could come together just to celebrate and be happy and joyful and just revel in being able to be around each other and enjoy themselves. I also got to go to the parent ed on Monday night for a brief time. Another shout out to Jerry. He did a fantastic job. The parent education, as Marlis, to piggyback on, there's such really good information. A lot of us parents don't know what we don't know, or we don't know how. So it really is helpful, and you always learn something. You always learn something when you take the time, even if it's just to browse it, just to be a little bit of knowledge and to help you out. And as Marlis said, it may not be to help you. Our parents, I talk to dads and moms all the time. Those are my internet. And say, hey, how did you solve this problem? I don't Google, I talk to my buddy, the next door neighbor. So you may be able to pass on some information, even though you know it and you already knew it, you may be able to pass it on to that other neighbor. The last thing is I want to give a shout out to our hero of the heart at Oak, Stacy. She is so fantastic. I've known her for years. She was instrumental in helping me with Cub Scouts. She just is one of those great people that make our district so strong. She isn't looking for glory. She isn't looking for any praise. She is, all right, how do we get this done? Or we want to do this? All right, let's make it happen. And of course, Angie Haas, who I've known for years, what a wonderful, wonderful person. I couldn't be more happy for her and proud of her. And again, couldn't be more deserving. She is incredible. Just a couple of the great people that really are the hallmark, to borrow the hallmark of the district. It's the people, and it's all the people, the parents and the staff working together to make it great for the kids. And one more thing, and then I'll lead you guys to continue on, is Ptsa Awards last night. I was handing out cookies. Seemed to be, I only come to events where I can have sugar. And they bought enough cookies that even the kids got some after I was done eating. But I want to say that these kids were coming out and, yeah, oh, what'd you get your award? Nah, I got all A's. There was, well, is there anything better than an A? No. It's like, so that's the best that you could do. You got all A's, so you did the best you possibly could. Well, yeah. It's like, you should be excited. That's fantastic. That isn't just, well, I say the level of quality of the kids and the expectations are so high. I want us as parents to take the time and step back and remember to rejoice in the successes of our children. It doesn't have to be all A's. It just kind of came to me. Rejoice in their accomplishments. Whether it's kindergarten, he ties a shoe for the first time. Okay? Only the left one because he can't do the right one, but that's fine. Reward. Be appreciative and reward what you want to have them do. And renew. Anytime you accomplish a goal, rejoice, reward, and then renew. How can we build on this? We've done this. This is fantastic. Let's renew that energy. Let's renew that commitment and move forward. So thank you, everyone.
Mrs. Gattuli.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill. I first of all want to say I hope everybody had a great spring break. It's always nice to have a break, and then you go back with renewed energy. We're in the home stretch. If you're a senior in the high school, you cannot have senioritis. You still have to take AP tests and finals and get to that finish line, and you're close. So I have a granddaughter who is a senior, and I give her a pep talk about every 10 days. She kind of rolls her eyes, but I know she will graduate and be successful, but I just want to make sure she does it well. Excuse me, I'm going to start out with some shout outs. The Orange County Register every year has Student Artist Awards. And so I read my paper, and we had 3 students that were recognized as they have 15 finalists. This is for all the high schools in Orange County. And yes, the Orange County High School of the Arts is mentioned a lot. But I was really proud that we had 3 students that were recognized as finalists. So I'm going to say their names. The first one was Max Wynn, and he got it for instrumental music. And if anybody had attended any of the jazz performances, we were able to hear him play. So that was fantastic. And then Jamie Wynn, who is in our choir, received it for vocal music. And then Nikki Ocampo, she got recognized in acting. So I think it's rather phenomenal in our district with 1 high school, and we have a strong arts program that we were able to have 3 kids recognized. So congratulations to those students. I also want to tag on to Angie Haas being our Teacher of the Year. She is a finalist for the county, and we'll have to see how far she goes after that. And I also want to say, I think that in the educational community, that kindergarten teachers are not always appreciated as I think they should be. No, they're not teaching AP calculus. They're not, I was going to say they're not teaching a foreign language, but they kind of are teaching a foreign language, so that doesn't fit. But it's your kinder or your TK teacher that sets you up for success for the rest of the 12 years of your life here in our district. And she brings such a spark of joy that the kids in her class have to have that spark with them for the rest of their lives. And I just think that you may not think what she is doing is necessarily highly academically challenged, but I have been floored by helping when all 3 of my kids were in kindergarten, working in their classroom, because the discrepancy among the development and their abilities, you literally have kids who cannot stand in a line. It's just so foreign to their being, to a child who might be reading on the 3rd or 4th grade level. And that teacher is expected to reach every child, teach all the basics, and extend the knowledge on the ones that are already there. So kudos to all of you, all of the primary teachers. And I was just really glad that we had a chance to recognize Angie, who is outstanding. And I also want to show a real quick thank you out to PTA Council for the recognition that they did give the school board. And I just want to say, I have always felt that this school board and this district has been in a partnership with all of our parents. And this acknowledgement from them is very meaningful, and thank you so much. Okay, back to business. I attended an ROP meeting, and tomorrow evening we are going to be having our celebration of success, which is when we hand out scholarships to our students, and we do have students from LaSalle who will be recognized, so I will be there. And I want to also thank Mr. Erickson, because he is one of our ROP teachers who consistently takes the time and effort to recommend students for the different awards that are available to them. And if the teacher doesn't take the time, the kid doesn't get the recognition. And this morning, I was able to participate on the panel interviews for our new principal at Oak Middle School. And we had an extremely rich panel with lots of depth to it. So that's the first step they go through. Then they're going to come back. I don't know how many that will come back out of the 5 we interviewed. That will come back for a cabinet level, and then past the cabinet level, then our superintendent usually spends a great deal of time talking to them one-on-one. It is not easy to get a job in administration in our district. So I'm glad that the quality of the people who applied for it. So we'll find someone who will be the new principal at Oak. They won't be Aaron Kaminsky, and that's a loss, and it's okay. So that's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Gattuli. Mr. Forham?
Yes, I was invited to the Rossmoor Volunteer Breakfast, which I attended and got to see them honor their honorary service. Probably the most exciting thing I got to do is I got invited to the Weaver Principal for a day, and I got to interview Jack, and let me tell you, he knows how to nail it because they had donuts, they had extra recess, and then Jack got to invite kids to In-N-Out for lunch. So good job there, Jack. And Andrew's already spoken about the STEM building, but just a shout out to our community for the bond passage that made that reality happen. I think, having been a teacher, I would be in awe in any of those classrooms. Meg and I participated in the interviews today, and kudos to the attraction of the most incredible 5 candidates that I personally have ever interviewed, and I've done many interviews. Drama, McAuliffe, Night of One Acts, great job. And I think our drumline this Sunday is going to be able to show us their skills, so I'm looking forward to that. And I always like to finish with kids, and Brandon DeMarco at Griffin collected 1,321 books and took them down to Watts and donated them to a elementary school there. That was great, Brandon. A shout out to you. Sophie Littig won first place in short video in a recent Thespians conference, I think it was, but her title, Redemption. It's amazing what these kids can do. Meg already mentioned the semifinalists. Way to go, Max, Jamie, and Nikki. And then I want to end with Ava, who is a first grader at Lee, and I was reading in her classroom prior to spring break, and there was a little lull in where I was in the story, and Ava raised her hand and said, that's a paradox, isn't it? And I'm thinking, okay, first grade. And then I had to go talk to the teacher because I was not part of the training for depth and complexity, but I wanted everybody to know it's alive and well in first grade at Lee Elementary, and I'm sure across our whole district. So thanks to the teachers that make all that happen for our kids to develop just good ways to look at a different lens to look at the reading that they're doing and have discussions around it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forham, and I will be quick. I had the opportunity to go to LAE Open House for a little bit, and one thing, the joy, we were kind of this receiving line. We happened to be standing where everybody was coming in, and really the joy of the parents coming in was just tremendous. And then I spoke to Dr. Pulver later about something, and he said, you know, not every school in Orange County is doing physical back to school nights. And so once again, I think sometimes, as my husband reminds me all too often, we only know what we know. And so we don't know how extraordinary the things and the movements that we've made here because we are not comparing. And I don't, other districts have reasons for doing it, and I get that. But I do want to say to parents that you had a pretty normal school year this year, and there still were a lot of places in Orange County and certainly in LA County where that did not happen. So we were really grateful to have that open house. I had a chance to be a guest at the Rotary meeting this past week, and Dr. Pulver does a great job there, and I really do appreciate you and your leadership there at Rotary. There is a great series going on right now called Parklet series. The city of Los Alamitos is working really hard at creating a downtown feel area, and I believe it's Pine. It is Pine, and they are doing a concert on Thursday nights, kids movie on Friday nights, and then a farmer's market on Saturday morning. And they've done just a beautiful job with having places to sit. And it was, we went and saw Knight Rider last Thursday night, which is a big favorite, and it was packed and just a lot of fun. And so it's getting to be that time of year, and we're so blessed here in California that we can be outside and just enjoy that. So if you've got nothing to do Thursday or Friday night, take a look over there. And I really appreciate our city for really having so many activities for our community. I had agenda planning, and I went to the Teacher of the Year dinner last night, which I really enjoyed. And then this wasn't necessarily school related, but it just made me really just so grateful for, once again, volunteers. I had the opportunity to go to the YMCA prayer breakfast on Good Friday morning, and that was in Long Beach. And I was just amazed at sitting in a room with 900 people that were all there and volunteers, and how much organizations like YMCA and many other ones. I was nobody really knows what it is anymore, but I was what was called a latchkey kid back then. I didn't have a parent at home during the day. And so the Y was a really great place for me to go, and a great place for me to go on the weekends. And I mean, on the, in the summers. And so I just really appreciated that, and appreciated all the people that give so much back in our community. So that is it for me. So we will move on to the business part of our agenda now. Thank you very much, board. And I have no public comment cards, so we will move past that. We will move past recess, and then we will move to consent. We did notice that 2 items on our consent calendar need to be pulled, and those are items J and K. And so I would ask for a motion for items A through I and L through Q, unless there's any other polls that I'm not aware of. So I would ask for that motion.
Second.
Everything will be a roll call, so it's moved and seconded. So Mrs. Dornblaster.
Mr. Fayette?
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli?
Aye.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
Mr. Forehand? Mrs. Davidson?
Aye.
Great. Passes 5-0. We will now move on to item 12J, and that is the approval of the textbooks. And Mrs. Reed.
Thank you so much, President Hill. Tonight we're bringing forth action for our textbook for our chemistry class that's been on preview with Ed Services for the past 30 days.
Second. I can get it out of it. Yeah, I can.
Do we have any discussion? I have approval in second. And Mrs. Dornblaster.
Mr. Fayette?
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli?
Aye.
Mrs. Hill?
Aye.
Mr. Forehand? Mrs. Davidson?
Aye.
We will now move on to 12K, and that is the approval of supplemental materials. Mrs. Reed again.
Thank you, President Hill. This would be the supplemental materials, some CK-12 education that would accompany the chemistry adoption that we're doing. Just as a reminder, we've revised both of our chemistry courses this school year with input from teachers on site. And so this curriculum will be used for our 2 new NGSS aligned chemistry courses that will start in the 22-23 school year at Los Alamitos High School.
Wonderful. Thank you. Do I have a motion? So moved. A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fayette,
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli, Mrs. Hill,
Aye.
Mr. Forehand, Mrs. Davidson,
Aye.
We are now going to move on to the approval of an agreement with South Coast Photo. Oh, no, sorry. No. Back down to action. Sorry. Got a little confused there. We are now on to 13, which is action items. So these is the adoption of resolution for 2021, 2022, recognition of our classified employees. And Dr. Pulver, we'll start with you, and then we will move on to Mr. Fayette.
Wonderful. So this is always, May is always the time of the year where we really get to celebrate all of our employees. There's so many different times throughout the year of day of the bus driver, classified employee, day of the teacher, administrator, speech therapist, counselor. So we really tried to come together and celebrate them all in the month of May, and which is where many of those recognitions are. And so this is a resolution as we're getting ready to recognize our employees next month, to recognize the dedication and the passionate hard work that we could not do without our classified employees who are champions for us as well. And so Board Member Fayette is going to go ahead and read a little bit of the resolution.
Awesome. Resolution number 2021-2022-15, Los Alamitos Unified School District Board of Education and Administration, District Classified Employees. Whereas classified professionals provide a vital role in the welfare and safety of students of the Los Alamitos Unified School District. And whereas classified professionals employed by the Los Alamitos Unified School District strive for excellence by igniting unlimited possibilities for students in all areas related to the educational community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Los Alamitos Unified School District hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contribution of the classified professionals to quality education in the state of California and in the Los Alamitos Unified School District, and declares the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as Classified School Employee Week in the Los Alamitos Unified School District.
Thank you very much. And so that's the motion. I need a second. And then we will have a roll call again.
Mr. Fayette,
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli, aye, Mrs. Hill,
Aye.
Mr. Forehand, Mrs.
I forgot to
Davidson,
ask for discussion. We all good? Okay, good. All right. That's what I thought. I thought that was the reaction I might get. So the next would be the adoption of resolution.
Did we finish the roll call?
I think we need Mrs.
Oh,
Davidson.
Mrs. Davidson. Sorry, Marlis. So the adoption of resolution 2021 through 2022, recognition of the Day of the Teacher. And we can just go to Mrs. Davidson. Mrs. Davidson?
It gives me great joy, especially with the celebration of Angie as our Teacher of the Year, to read resolution number 2021-2022-16, Los Alamitos Unified School District Board of Education and Administration, in recognition of the annual Day of the Teacher, May 11th, 2022, making a difference every day. Whereas we all remember a teacher who has had a significant positive impact on our own lives, and whereas the guidance, support, and inspiration that teachers provide to students is invaluable and contributes tremendously to the well-being of our great nation. Whereas it is fitting that our community and all Californians pay tribute to our teachers and their lasting achievements on behalf of our students and the future of the Los Alamitos Unified School District and the nation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education and Administration recognize May 11th, 2022 as Day of the Teacher in the Los Alamitos Unified School District, and activities will take place to recognize Los Alamitos Unified School District's teachers who are most sincerely appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Davidson. I have a first. May I have a second? Second. Any discussion? We're just very grateful. Roll call,
Fayette?
please.
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli,
Aye.
Mrs. Hill,
Aye.
Mr. Forehand,
Aye.
Mrs. Davidson,
Aye.
Wonderful. We are now going to move on to the adoption of the resolution in recognition of the Day of the Administrator. And so, Mr. Forehand.
Yes, it's my pleasure to bring forward Resolution 2021-2022-17 proclaiming May 3rd, 2022 as the Day of the School Administrator. Whereas the title school administrator is a broad term used to define many educational leadership posts, superintendents, assistant superintendents, administrators of instructional programs, school business officials, classified educational leaders, and other school district employees are considered. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Los Alamitos Unified School District that May 3rd, 2022 be proclaimed as the Day of the School Administrator in honor of the many outstanding contributions and services provided by the administrative team in the public schools of this community, and that the administrator of the Los Alamitos Unified School District be commended for their support of and contributions to quality education.
Thank you very much. Since I have a first, may I have a second?
Second.
We will go roll call then. Oh, no comment?
Yay.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli. Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Fabulous. Passes 5-0. We are now moving on to 13D, which is the second reading and final approval of revised board policy 5111. And Dr. Frazier.
Thank you, Madam President. We're bringing forward this revised board policy 5111 on admissions with no changes.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Now we are moving on to the second reading and approval of board policy 9322, agenda and meeting materials. Dr. Pulver.
Thank you, Madam President. We had the first reading of the several changes that were part of this bylaw at our first meeting in April, and this is just the second reading of it. Mrs. Cattouli did catch a spelling or a typo of whence to sense, so we will make that correction. It should be sense with an S instead of a W.
But actually, it's amazing. That's the second time I personally have read the policy.
Yeah.
I'm sure my fellow board members have read it twice. I am sure administrators have read it 10, 20 times. But it just goes to show
Your brain just goes.
you need a lot of eyeballs on things.
And so some of them just different changes that the CSBA recommended to update it. Things like I think I'd shared at the last meeting from 3 days to 72 hours of posting your agenda, et cetera. Things that we mostly are all that we already do.
Great. Thank you very much.
Second.
Approved and seconded. All those in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call, I'm sorry.
Mr. Fayette.
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli.
Aye.
Mrs. Hill.
Aye.
Mr. Forehand. Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Great. Thank you. And it should have been second reading approval of it was revised. Thank you. Okay. Now we are going to move on to 13F, approval of a memorandum of understanding between the Los Alamitos Unified School District and Sandy Hook Promise Foundation. Dr. Frazier.
Thank you, Madam President. This is an MOU between the Los Alamitos Unified School District and Sandy Hook Promise Foundation. It's the education and implementation of the anonymous tip reporting system. It will replace text to tip with a more robust, reliable, and efficient system. So students will be able to make reports or calls via an app, website, 24/7 crisis telephone line.
Second.
Any discussion? Dr.
I'd like to say something. I just like to say thank you to the Sandy Hook Foundation, who turned their own personal tragedy into an incredible group that has worked across the nation year in and year out since that happened to save other kids. And I'm really glad that we're a part of what they're doing. So thank you.
Yeah, this is a free program through their foundation.
Mrs. Davidson, you took the words out of my mouth. And Dr. Pulver, I was just going to ask Dr. Frazier if there was any cost involved. So thank you both. Fabulous. We're all on the same page. And it really is, people who are able to turn their own personal tragedy into something that's better for everybody else leave an incredible legacy for those that they've lost. So we are really appreciative of that. So we will go on a roll call on that, please.
Mr. Fayette,
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli,
Aye.
Mrs. Hill,
Aye.
Mr. Forehand, Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
All righty. Now we move on to the approval of warrants. And thank goodness we only had 26 pages. And so our warrants are the checkbook of the district, and we have them all in, I think, 0.5 font that we get to read through. And so I look for the approval of the warrants as presented.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fayette,
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli,
Aye.
Mrs. Hill,
Aye.
Mr. Forehand, Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
All right. We are now moving on to the acceptance of donations. And we are very appreciative of the donations that come in from our very generous public and generous parents. And as you can see, there are multiple different donations in different places. And it really doesn't even represent all of the donations that come through our district. And year to date is almost $750,000, over $750,000, 756,000. I think it was 117. Then the screen was in my way. So there he goes, 17 and 75 cents. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, and thank you very much to the public. And roll call, please.
Mr. Fayette,
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli,
Aye.
Mrs. Hill,
Aye.
Mr. Forehand, Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
And then we're going to take the last three items, which is 13I, J, and K, all as one motion, please. And that would be the classified personnel report, the certificated personnel report, and the administrative personnel report.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fayette,
Aye.
Mrs. Cattouli,
Aye.
Mrs. Hill,
Aye.
Mr. Forehand, Mrs. Davidson.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Closes 5-0. That closes the business section of our board meeting. I do believe we will be going back into closed session. And so I will close open session at 7:43, and we will return after we have finished closed session. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll call her.